I have a question for you. When a wrestler turns up at Raw or SmackDown, as we saw at last night's SmackDown, why do they look just past the camera and they don't talk to the people they're with? Like we saw everybody arriving for the main event and they just walk and they don't share a word with their buddies. Everybody should be offended. I mean, go and watch this and take away the commentary and take away the music. Really weird. Also, hello my friends and welcome to the only wrestling review show you need with me, Simon Miller. Pow, hit a home run for no reason, where we take the finger of power and we're going to give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down for this week's episode of SmackDown. And of course, it's the go home show for Bad Blood. So I just tell you now, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, they only appeared in video form. Well, the video was very good. Let's go. SmackDown then got even weirder because musician Hardy was just in the ring and nobody explained that to us at all, but he wanted to introduce the returning AJ Styles. Now the fans cheered for him, so we have totally forgotten about his accolades to become the hate of the year 2024. Although Edge addressed this, he was like, listen, I understand you may not be able to forgive me for some of the things that I've done, but damn it, I want to be a better man. I mean, I'm sure he definitely regrets spending thousands of dollars to fly all the way to Australia just to murk LA Knight. And just as he was talking about, I'm going to rebuild my house of joy, that's not what he said, but you know, he's the face that runs the place, or whatever he was talking about, he got interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. Now, this was totally uncalled for, because AJ Styles hadn't said Carmelo Hayes' name, so he had broken Wrestling Rule 14.8. Hayes wanted to tell AJ Styles, though, that nobody cares that he has come back, and also, don't worry about this place that you think is all about you, because I've been taking care of things. Mello then called AJ an old-timer and said, you're probably out here to announce a Legends deal. Like, Carmelo, come here. There's the worst insult ever. What are you saying? Oh man, you made a real impression in this business, and now somebody wants to pay you, even though you may retire. I'm totally offended. Hayes is still basically trying to go after the United States title though, which is when AJ Styles butted in. He was like, listen, I know all about LA Knight, yeah, I've been fighting him all year. Carmelo then shut him down because he doesn't need to hear advice from a quitter like AJ Styles. So AJ said, well, if you were him, you'd already be the US champion. So Carmelo said, well, if you were the phenomenal one, you would be the world champion. What we were doing here is we were having a nickname off. You know the deal. You never want to be involved in a nickname off. Styles then challenged him to a match, but Carmelo Hayes went, nah, I don't want to do that. When LA Knight just appeared, and he was basically like, well, no, I think you two should fight, and the winner can come after my belt. Now, LA made sure to also remind us that AJ Styles had faked his retirement a few months ago, and I think that may tie in when, yeah, these two had a match. And I was like, well, who sanctioned that? So this was fun though, and again, who doesn't want to see AJ Styles versus Carmelo Hayes? Because it's essentially a passing of the torch moment. So I shall give it an up, mostly because AJ Styles continues to defy the passages of time. We also don't know how much longer we're going to have AJ, which kind of tied into this match. Because before we got to our big angle, of course this was really good. Carmelo is great and AJ is all-time, as we've already talked about. But at one point, he landed on his leg, and the commentators were like, oh no, it looked like he may be hurt. They said it like that too. They turned into good old-fashioned English gentlemen. I also want to point out at one point Styles did a springboard moonsault, which is totally redonkulous because he's like 45 years old, when he picked Carmelo Hayes up and basically gave him a neck breaker onto his knee. But as we've already talked about, he did have a gammy leg, and all of a sudden he was down and he didn't look happy at all. The referee even sprinted over to him and was all like, no, because he is properly hurt, to the point he called the match off and Carmelo Hayes had won. Damn. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this absolutely worked me a little bit. Like 95% of me was clearly this is part of the story, but the other 5% was me scratching my stupid bald head saying, well, AJ Styles is selling that very well. Maybe he's not selling it at all. Now, WWE did show a load of replays of this, which usually means it is part of the story. But at the same time, when you did look at the way AJ fell, man, his leg crumpled in a horrible position. So once again, it got me. I think the big tell, though, is that eventually Styles did limp off to the back, and I don't think WWE would have done that. And before all of this, Corey Graves on commentary was all like, man, I think AJ Styles is a hazard to himself because he needs to calm the flub down. So I think this was a way to get out of the match, but also give AJ Styles a storyline. And again, the fact I invested so much in it Well, I thought everyone did a good job. As a small aside, if I am totally wrong and AJ is hurt, well, I hope he gets better soon. But also, I like the fact that we stopped the match. That should become a thing. If anybody does get injured, just draw a line under it. So before all of this, we had a good match, and again, I think this could turn into a very interesting angle. I am going to give it an up. It makes me ponder what is next for AJ Styles and his leg. A dumpster was then rolled to the ring, because why wouldn't that happen? That's also because it was time for Chelsea Green versus Michin. And this was just totally fun and awesome too. I mean, they started off by getting Kendrick the kendo sticks and going at it, when Michin was like, no, I really don't like you, Chelsea. She started to whoop her ass. Well, no, I mean, Green kind of freaked out and she ran at her opponent, so Michin just got out of the way. Chelsea hit the dumpster, and I guess because the dumpster has been reintroduced to WWE TV, we need to give it a name. You know the deal. So I shall call it Darwin the Dumpster. Michin then used a cookie sheet to wham Chelsea right in the head, so Green grabbed her and threw her into the dumpster. So straight away I was like, man, Darwin has only been reborn for about 3 minutes, and he's already being assaulted. Michin was then able to hit a DDT and a German suplex when Chelsea was like, oh my gosh, she's going for her finisher. So she busted out a Canadian Destroyer instead, when she actually was able to throw Michin into Darwin, meaning all she had to do was close the lid and she would have won. She didn't do it. We then got some garbage bags that were being used as weapons. I was like, there was no way that could hurt at all. And I was right, because Michin just went, she hit the eat defeat. She also made sure to put Chelsea in a trash can before smashing the crap out of that, as she's wont to do. And just as she was about to put Chelsea Green back in that dumpster, well, firstly, she put a table over the damn thing when Piper Niven was here. Now listen, Piper got a few shots in, but ultimately, she just ran into Darwin too. That's like, Piper, there's a worst plan ever. Chelsea then tried for a surprise suplex, but that was never going to happen, so Michin picked her up on the ring apron, and because that damn table was over Darwin, she powerbombed her through it, which was quite the fall. When she took the lid and she slammed it shut, Michin is your winner of the dumpster match. But I'm going to say this quietly. I do like both of them. I think they're very good. But even though she did lose, well, Chelsea Green still comes out the other side with all the momentum. She just gets it. She also turned into Oscar the Grouch, because after this she popped up from the dumpster with garbage all over her head. And talk about understanding the assignment. I love matches like this. Makes me warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Let's get it up. We then saw AJ Styles getting worked on, because he is going to be taken to a local medical facility. So once again, surely this has to be part of the story. When we saw Naomi, she was chatting to Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now they were getting all excited because of course they are the women's tag team champions, when they all agreed to host Bad Blood. Well, that's interesting. Something must be coming. This was doubly true as Bayley then walked in and was all like, oh, hi, and promised that she will win the championship at the pay-per-view premium live event. And when she does, Naomi will get the first shot. I think something is afoot. And if I were to guess, I would presume that Tiffany Stratton will probably try to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase, and Naomi will try and stop her, but accidentally screws over Bayley, and maybe she did that on purpose, and it heads to a heel turn. I don't know, we wait and see. Bayley then headed to the ring though, because she did want to talk to Nia Jax. And yeah, that's what she said straight away. She was like, Nia, get your butt out here. So as per Wrestling Rule 14.8, Nia did arrive. And she went, if you've got something to say it to my face. It's like, Nia, it's literally why Bayley called you out. What are you talking about? Bayley then laid into Nia Jax because she said, listen, you may be the champion, but you don't understand how important that belt is. Go back and look at all the legends that have held that thing. They understand it more than you. However, with that said, I will be honest, you're being pretty dominant so far in 2024. However, there are two people who are ready to take that title away from her. One, of course, is me, Bayley, but not me, I'm Simon Cheese Bayley. And the other is Tiffany Stratton. Not because Tiffany is any good, but because she has the Money in the Bank briefcase. So Bayley was stirring the pot. Stratton totally took the bait as well. She was like, I don't need any excuses. I can beat Nia Jax. When Nia looked at her like, excuse me, what did you just say? And Tiffany Stratton was so flustered, she called Bayley Pam, which is her real name. That made me laugh. We also then went General Zod, because Tiffany Stratton was like, you need to bow down before Nia Jax, which Bayley decided she did not want to do. When she turned the tables once again and said, Nia, I respect you, but as for you, Tiffy, well, I think you're a stupid bitch. It's like, well, where did that come from? Pull it down and put one on the bitch counter. Stratton then tried to use the briefcase, but Bayley made sure to beat both of them up so she could stand there and raise the championship above her head. You know what that means. She is definitely not winning at the pay-per-view. Now, Stratton also did tease that she may cash in here before she ran away. So yeah, when we get to Bad Blood in a few hours, I think something big may be coming. I thought this was quite good though, and while I don't think anybody believes that Bayley can be victorious, we were also about to head into Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi, so the building blocks are there, and we'll see if they fall down like Jenga. When I think WWE had the dumbest segment of the entire year. Because Chelsea Green was walking in the back with Piper Niven, who was all like, oh man, you really stink. It's disgusting. When we bumped into various people who also told Chelsea Green that she stunk. The weirdest one is that A-Town Down Under just walked out of a random room. And Austin Theory was eating cake, and he went, oh man, my cake really smells. I'm going to think about this for the next 1,000 years. That didn't make any sense. And also, look at Austin Theory. I don't think he eats cake. He also bumped into Nick Aldis, who also just made a bunch of terrible puns. And I tell you, even for me, the king of goofy wrestling for life, this was actually quite hit and miss. But because of that, that somehow made it funnier. Like, we had Pretty Deadly that basically had a meltdown just because somebody smells. Sometimes I really love wrestling. Carmelo Hayes also approached Nick Aldis and asked for a US title match, and I think we are going to do that next week, when it was time for Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi. I am starting to think that maybe we are going to get a cash-in sooner rather than later, because Tiffany lost here, and usually WWE loves doing that. When they know you're about to cash in and win a championship, they don't care about your win record, because of course, as soon as you do that, you will fly back to the tippity top. Naomi was able to dodge early on though when she smacked Stratton right in the face with her knees, and Tiffany was like, well, I didn't like that, and she came back with the springboard double knee. Naomi then came back with kind of like that split-legged thingamajig on the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, when sadly the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, totally screwed over Naomi, because when we came back from the advert, Tiffany was in control. So I tell all wrestlers this, even though quite rightfully no one listens to me. If you know the commercial is coming, run. Eventually they started punching each other, because why wouldn't you do that when Naomi went for a crossbody? But Tiffany Stratton turned into John Cena and powered her up when they both went for moonsaults and they totally missed. You suck. Of course, this led to a battle of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. As it turns out, Naomi has way more experience at that move than Tiffany Stratton. 1, 2, 3. So sure, that was a little bit of a cop-out, but again, I think this is building to something bigger when we get to our event this evening. Also, I thought it was a fine match. I'm never going to get mad at Naomi winning. She never wins. We then saw the Bloodline backstage as they were heading to the ring, as Jacob Fatu just went absolutely crazy, and he called Roman Reigns an idiot, and as always reminded us, the real tribal chief is Solo Sikoa. I tell you, he was so amped up here, even I was like, you know what, he's right, go Solo. Jax also made sure to find Tiffany after this too, and was like, how dare you try and cash in on me again? I mean, she was totally livid. Now, Jax had a great suggestion here, because she was like, listen, if you do want to do that, why don't you cash in on Liv Morgan? And I enjoyed that tease, because let's face it, if she wanted to, she could. Tiffany then promised that she would never use the briefcase against Nia Jax. Let me just look it up in my wrestling logic book. That's right. It means she's definitely gonna do it. Around this time too, we got this amazing tease video, which is essentially a car going really fast. You can go on the internet, and I suppose this is a spoiler, so make sure you put some hands in your ears. It is because WWE has had a change of heart, and even though they were going to have a quick run at NXT before coming to the main roster, we are going straight to SmackDown. Because if you can believe it, after like 24 years of just being awesome on the independents and in TNA, the Motor City Machine Guns will be on WWE very soon. And this excites me greatly. It also was time for our main event, which was for the tag team titles, and it was a triple threat ladder match. DIY versus the Street Profits versus the Bloodline. This was absolutely fabu. And the reason it worked too is because we did have 3 teams. So if you wanted to convince yourself that Tangaloa and Tower Tonga are about to lose the belts, well, you totally could, because they can lose without losing, which is just wonderful, ridiculous wrestling. We also started with a huge brawl as well, as eventually the Street Profits and DIY started to beat up the Bloodline. When the Tongas had a plan, they were like, wait a minute, those ladders, we could use them to climb, or we can use them as weapons, and they did. Johnny Gargano smelled that coming though, so he did a big dive to everyone. I think from afar, Montez Ford was like, oh man, that's what you want to do, is it? And he did what I guess we can only describe as an even better dive. These two are absolutely ludicrous. B-Fab was then telling the Street Profits they should go and get some tables. I still find this relationship very weird. When actually back in the ring, DIY had a much better plan. They took out Tama Tonga with the Shatter Machine. He also hit the meat in the middle as Gargano was like, oh my gosh, I can climb up this ladder to grab the titles. When Angelo Dawkins realised, no, I don't want that, and he not only stopped Johnny, but he started to kick everybody's back. Ford then hit the most ridiculous blockbuster using a ladder, because it is so good, when it was Angelo Dawkins' time to climb. This time Tama Tonga decided nope, and he pushed him to the floor. B-Fab then had a chair, so DIY stole that and they smacked the Bloodline for a while. When Montez Ford noticed that Tangaloa was now on the table, and he did this frog splash, and everything went boom. My gosh. Dawkins, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny then decided they would grab Tonga and throw him through Alan the announce table, because all our wrestling friends were getting murked this evening. Well, DIY basically turned on him instantly. I mean, that's fair, it's every man for himself. It also meant all four good guys started fighting on the ladder as this crowd came unglued. When the Meme King decided, nah man, I don't want any of that, and he pushed everybody off the damn ladders. The Tangaloa went up rung by damn rung, and he got the belts. The Bloodline retained. And you really could hear a pin drop, because the crowd was so stunned, but it made me love this doubly as much. And let's face it, on a SmackDown before Bad Blood, when the Bloodline are probably going to take a huge step forward, you want to keep the belts on them, and if nothing else, this was just a super duper fun main event. I'm also happy that we gave the nod to Loa, because as we know, he is the greatest wrestler in the world. So yeah, by the end of this, give it an up. Which did indeed bring us to the end of SmackDown. As you can see, it's all up and no downs. And as I always tell you, that doesn't mean it's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. But WWE just took all the stuff they weren't going to put on the pay-per-view, and they executed it very well. This was a super entertaining 2 hours. Give it an up. Now, of course, please do make sure you click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Raw, so you can catch up on all of my thoughts before the pay-per-view. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Drop a comment below and say, I like SmackDown, I didn't like SmackDown. Simon, you're a bored a-hole, I understand. Otherwise, my friends, enjoy Bad Blood later. Should be a pretty good event with a certain somebody coming back. And I'll see you tomorrow when, of course, we up those downs. Goodbye.